This week on the Fanatic Forum, I've got a fistful of comics and I'm ready to share them. But we'll get to that in just a second. Hopefully that's better now. Okay. Sorry, everybody. Had a little technical malfunction here at the beginning of the show. That's always a good sign. Anywho, hope you're having a good week. I'm George Buehler, host of the Fanatic Forum here. If you've never tuned into the Fanatic Forum before, this is basically a podcast that is all about mostly my passions, really, which are comic books, movies, TV show, wrestling, video games, all sorts of nerd culture. I'm just a wealth of all this kind of stuff here. So, of course, I love to have other people join the conversation. I love your comments, your questions on things, whatever the case may be. I'm all here for it here, and everybody's welcome to the table. So hope you guys are having a good week so far. I'm coming to you all at a different time than usual. Normally I'm on 7 o'clock at night, but this is a little bit of a special week here. My sister's getting married this weekend. And so basically, tonight's got, some usual family stuff going on associated with that. And then tomorrow's going to be a busy day because it's the wedding. So congratulations to Corey and Tiffany. Best of luck to you guys. And interesting little tidbit. I'm going to be officiating the wedding. This is my first time doing that, but they specifically asked for me to, join them in doing this. So I couldn't turn them down. So of course, yeah. But it's going to be interesting. But yeah, we've got everything kind of planned out and whatnot. So it should be pretty good. But yeah, first time doing a wedding here. So this is going to be cool. So make sure all my stuff is cooked up here. Okay, cool. Sorry for the snafu earlier on. So, all right. So I do have a lot of cool books to share this week here. A few indies here, a couple of really good entries on DC, and then giving Marvel a lot of love this week here. So yeah, either way, we're going to get to those here. So first off here, one new #1 this week that I'm definitely going to share with you guys here because it's just in time for the season here. American Mythology Productions, which is a nice little independent press here, brings us Night of the Living Dead Revanche. This is a really cool book here. Really good art in it so far here. Let's see here. Get the creative team on this. Let's see. Writers are S.A. Czech and James Kuhorik. Artist is Giancarlo Kazutzko. So yeah, anyway, so really enjoyed this book here. This is literally an adaptation of the original Night of the Living Dead, plus a lot of the other blanks kind of filled in. You get to know a little bit of the characters that you see later on in the movie, a little bit more, maybe just a little more of that world fleshed out. But that's so far what I've seen here. But yeah, it's kind of really right before things really start getting kicked off here. But we get to meet Ben. We get to meet the grumpy guy who locks himself in the barn. We get to see the barn, or the kind of the farmhouse, the barn itself. So yeah, all sorts of cool stuff here. But yeah, American Mythology is kind of starting to do really cool things with some established horror franchises. They've already done some comics on the Hatchet series. If you've ever seen the Nicolas Cage film Willy's Wonderland, which I highly recommend checking out. It's a weird Nick Cage entry. He doesn't say a single word in the movie. He plays this janitor at kind of like a Chuck E. Cheese sort of establishment. And then when night falls, everything comes alive and starts killing people. And he's basically fighting off a bunch of animatronic creature things. So it's a weird entry, but worth checking out. They've done comics on Willy's Wonderland, and apparently due to this publication here, coming this Christmas, Silent Night, Deadly Night. So there you go. So coming from American Mythology Productions, that's coming this Christmas. But Night of the Living Dead Revanche #1 is out right now. So definitely recommend checking that one out. And there's a ton of variant covers. So depending on which of your local comic book stores you go to, there should be, at least one good cover. That's the cover A that I showed you there. But yeah, there's tons of others. So and so some worth checking out, I'm sure. From Image, got a couple of cool ones here. The next issue of 10,000 Black Feathers came out. This is in the Bone Orchard Mythos universe that Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino created. This is a very cool book so far here. The first issue is kind of a little evasive, a little enigmatic of what's kind of really going on. Second issue really spells it out as to what our main storyline's going on here. But we get our relationship of our two main characters here and really kind of how deep things go. And then where we're kind of at in the present tense here. But essentially, we've got a woman here who is a writer and a bit of a creative artist here, and she comes back to her hometown. Apparently, it looks like maybe on some hard times. She's a little, iffy on what exactly has happened here, but she's come back to her small town, and it seems that she is horribly haunted by ghosts of her past, literal ghosts of her past. So the Bone Orchard Mythos is something that Andrea and Jeff have created recently. It's kind of a shared horror universe. And I'm starting to, just after the second issue here, starting to see some patterns and some familiar things pop up from some of their other entries. They did have a book come out on Free Comic Book Day that was a one-shot story, and then the hardcover The Passageway is currently out now and available at your local comic book shop. I highly recommend picking that one up. This is really cool, very eerie, kind of classy horror somewhat. There is a little bit of gore, but not too much. But yeah, it's some really, really cool horror stuff worth checking out. Another good horror book. I've championed this series from the beginning. This is coming from Image Comics here. This is The Silver Coin. This is an anthology book here. It's basically kind of like a monkey's paw sort of thing. There's this coin that is cursed and gets passed around, and basically the coin feeds on murder, mayhem, death, destruction, that sort of thing like that. Basically, it's, like I said, very much like a monkey's paw sort of device. A good thing happens when you receive the coin, or you feel better or more powerful or something along those lines. And then very shortly, the bad stuff starts to happen. This is going to be the last issue in the series for a time being. And it's interesting, too, because Michael Walsh, who is the main creative head behind The Silver Coin, he's the primary artist for the book and sometimes writer. And he's had a lot of other guest writers on the book as well. But he's taking a little break from the book for good reason. He and his wife are having a baby, and it's going to be due sometime this month. So congratulations to them. But so, yeah, he's going to come back to the book, a lot more stories to tell. But this one's going to be a break for now. While this is a good self-contained story, if you've been following the series from the beginning, this is a great payoff issue here. So if you haven't read the entire series, I highly recommend picking up the trades or the individual issues if you can find them. Most of them should be fairly easy to find. Maybe the first couple might be a little difficult, but for the most part, the rest of the 15-issue series should be easily found. It's done well, but I don't think it's been like a sellout book or anything like that. So if not, definitely pick up the trades or read it digitally even. But nonetheless, definitely worth checking out here and a good time to catch up a bit too. So, but yeah, very, very cool stuff here. That one concerned basically a firefighter who picked up the coin after a nightclub burned down. So, yeah, like I said, if you're an early reader for Silver Coin, that's there. You know what I'm talking about. There's some good payoff for this particular issue. So, and last but not least, from Image here, this is the 5th issue of Chip Zdarsky's Public Domain, and this is a nice kind of like break if you want something, a good story that deals within the comic book industry, but is not necessarily a superhero book. This basically concerns a family legacy of a superhero character called the Domain that the father Sid created, many years ago, kind of like a Stan Lee, Steve Ditko sort of, thing. And then basically that character launched an entire company, franchises, movies, all kinds of good stuff. But basically the original artist left the company and the book some time ago, kind of booted out of his own, creation sort of, storyline. Well, now many years later, his sons have kind of come home, and the father has decided he wants to kind of reclaim the family legacy, get his character back, and start doing more comics of his, basically his baby boy here. So that's what this story is all about. So you get a lot of kind of ins and outs of the industry, some good, some bad, but it's got good family story in here, and of course it's good art. And Chip Zdarsky's a fantastic, writer, and didn't know how talented of an artist he really was, but this series proves it. So this is kind of a good stopping point for the series as well. But apparently it's going to take a short break, and then we'll come back with a second volume at a later time. So Chip wasn't specific, but he said on social media, this is the last issue for now, but there is more to come. So yeah, anyway, a very, if you want a good break from, the superhero and the horror, the sci-fi or fantasy, which you normally read, this is a good, thing to check out here. A couple of cool ones from DC here, both from the Black Label. I've definitely championed these books for a while, but first one, this is the third issue of Aquaman Andromeda. This is basically an Aquaman horror story. And the art is absolutely gorgeous here. Let me see if I can get, here's kind of a little bit of example of that, but yeah, just some beautiful stuff here. But yeah, Ram V and Christian Ward are the creative team behind this one here. But yeah, basically there's this one part of the ocean that basically all the space wreckage seems to be kind of, carried into. Locked up there for a bit. I don't know what's going on. All right. So yeah. Anyway, so third issue of Aquaman Andromeda, definitely worth picking up here. If you, I've never been a big Aquaman fan or anything like that, but this is a really cool horror story with just beautiful art. So highly recommend checking this out. Also from the Black Label thing here, Josh Williams, who's been writing The Flash for quite some time. He's off the book now, but brings us a very interesting 4-part series called Rogues, and this is the real Rogues Gallery from The Flash. Captain Cold, Heat Wave, Golden Glider, Mirror Master, all those kind of guys. But this takes place a little bit in the future, and basically reassembled the team after they've been kind of retired off the grid for some time for one last job to raid Gorilla City, steal gold from Gorilla Grodd. They'll make all their wealth and all their their wealthy dreams come true, that sort of thing like that. And of course, in true comic book fashion, things go pear-shaped real quick. And it's anyway, but a very cool kind of heist book, Ocean's 11 kind of feel to it. And another cool thing is that it has zero sign of the Flash whatsoever in this. You've got Gorilla Grodd, you've got the Rogues, and that's about it. No heroes in sight. This is an all villains book here. But yeah, this is the last issue of this. Highly recommend picking this up here. This has been very, very cool. Leo Max does the art on this, and just can't say enough good things about Rogues. It's been a fantastic series, and I'm sad to see it's done, but I knew it was a limited issue anyway. So, nonetheless, from Marvel here, got some cool stuff. A couple of books just in time for the season. An anthology of Crypt of Shadows here. So this old classic horror title from Marvel has made a resurrection. No pun intended, one more time here. But this is a fun anthology book. You've got stories that feature Moon Knight, Elsa Bloodstone, X-23, Bloodline, that's Blade's daughter, Victoria Montesi from the Darkhold series, all sorts of, monster characters and, horror characters, whatnot. So also hosted by the long-lost brother of Doctor Strange, Victor Strange. He's kind of stuck in the catacombs of the Sanctum Sanctorum for good reason, apparently. But yeah, Very cool series here. So that issue just a one shot there, but just in time for the season. So definitely worth checking out for the horror fans. Lots of fun stuff there. A mini series here called the Deadly Neighborhood Spider-Man, and this is actually done by B. Earl and Taboo, formerly of the Black Eyed Peas. They have gotten into the horror, kind of the comics, especially delving into the horror genre. They did a Werewolf by Night miniseries last year that was well received, and now we are on to Spider-Man here, where basically Spidey seems to be plagued by some bad dreams that kind of cause him to essentially, act his worst. Essentially, he's turned full bad guy, sort of things like that. And maybe, just maybe, the lines of reality are getting blurred a little bit. Maybe those dreams are actually real. Don't know, but yeah, interesting miniseries here, and I'm definitely worth. I'm on board for issue 2 here. So yeah, I kind of like them. Every now and then you get little miniseries that come out that take an established character. DC does this all the time, just plays in the sandbox and kind of messes around a little bit. So I like that. Let's see here. Another interesting number 1 here from Marvel. Of course, last week we talked about Miracle Man Zero, which was kind of a little bit of a, catching you up if you weren't familiar with the character, a little bit of history and a new story done by Neil Gaiman and Mark Buckingham, who have kind of taken over the creative on this. And this is, even though it says it's book 5, this is kind of a return, essentially kind of a reprint of a previous Miracle Man story from 1992, from Miracle Man number 23 in 1992. So this is the secret origin of Miracle Man. So it does a good job of kind of retelling the story of Miracle Man a little bit in the Silver Age, and then also catching you up to where they're going to go into the modern age here. Also, you get a really cool Mark Buckingham sketchbook in the back of this issue as well. So very cool stuff, especially if you like kind of more your highbrow superhero stuff. Definitely it's for mature readers, not so much for violence, but much more mature content and language in there. But yeah, definitely more highbrow superhero stuff there. But yeah, if you're not familiar with it, I highly recommend picking that one up. Another one to check out here, this next issue of Moon Knight, number 16. This is a really cool issue if you're following the current Jed MacKay's run here. Basically, Moon Knight is going up against some vampires and maybe is talking to some, the vampires he's up against are maybe out of town, so to speak, and there's some current ones in town that he's trying to maybe gain some of their favor, a little bit of help with that. Of course, as usual, group of characters are with him, but this has kind of a bit of a shocker ending to it. But this is a very cool issue so far here. Of course, I just love this run right now that MacKay's doing. And also a fun thing, too, next week, the annual for Moon Knight is coming out, which on the cover features Werewolf by Night. So definitely worth checking that one out there. Kind of a nice throwback cover of that one. It looks like a painted cover. 2 more I want to share with you. They're kind of very, very much related here. The newest issues of both Alien and Predator came out this week. This is issue 2 of Alien and issue 3 of Predator. And these are just awesome series if you love these franchises. Predator is dealing with a story of revenge. The young woman on the cover, basically her parents were murdered. Actually, the whole, town village that she was in was destroyed by predators, and so she's been on a cycle of revenge for almost her entire life. And now, while she's kind of dealt a little bit of some comeuppance there, maybe things are kind of catching up to her a little bit in this issue. So definitely worth a look here if you're especially a Predator fan. Very cool stuff. Ed Brisson's the writer on this one, so it's definitely worth a look. Also, you got to check out the Alien book here. This is the second volume that Philip Kennedy Johnson is doing. Philip Kennedy Johnson is doing here. But this one basically is still kind of on the same storyline that the previous volume kind of set for you. But the really cool thing of this one is that basically we've got a remote planet that seems to be, they need to retrieve a biological weapon from that, but maybe the aliens have kind of taken things over. And they need to send in the team that is completely unbeatable, called Steel Team, which is entirely made up of synthezoids. So, yeah, a synthezoid military team going into an alien world there. So what could possibly go wrong or what couldn't? I don't know. But yeah, definitely worth checking out here. I really love the art. and the whole storyline that the Alien series, is doing right now in Marvel. So, and Predator has been, honestly been doing really good start. They're only 3 issues into their series right now. They got a bit of a late start. They should have come up, I think, right before the pandemic. But that thing happens. Things get delayed sometimes, but glad to see it's finally in there and really enjoying it. So a couple of things I want to share with you guys, some news things here. Of course, this is right now kind of the rumor stuff for MCU, but this has been going around for about a week or so, but I haven't got to share it with you all yet since the last episode. But it looks like there's a big rumor that Sacha Baron Cohen may be cast as Mephisto, and we could be seeing him as early as next year in the Ironheart series. Of course, we'll meet Ironheart in Black Panther, which comes out next month, the 11th, I believe. So not sure how the connection is going to be from there, from her series meeting Mephisto, but that's a heck of a good casting there if that's actually true. So fingers crossed about that one. The other rumor that I've heard that's actually a very, very good idea that we have to thank Werewolf by Night for, but due to its success of the one-shot, kind of the experiment that Marvel's doing on Disney Plus, following up later this year, we're going to get the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special, which will be a same format with a single episode, sort of hour length, whatever else. But of course, the Guardians Christmas special will connect directly to Guardians 3 coming out next year. So, but anyway, back to the one-shot experiment. So Werewolf by Night was very well received. Everyone likes the format, the way it was presented, that sort of thing like that. So what if they did that treatment with the X-Men? If, the creative heads, Kevin Feige or else picked I don't know, 5 to 8 core mutant characters that the X-Men universe could not live without. Your Xavier, Magneto, Jean Grey, Wolverine, Storm, whatever characters you want to pick. Emma Frost, whatever else. It doesn't matter. Apocalypse. I think another good one too. Yeah. So anyway, but pick those specific characters and then give them their own one shot to be aired whenever else. So then basically those characters are now familiarized with the audience. You've introduced them. And so when they pop up in Avengers movies or eventually an X-Men movie or whatever else, there you go. You already know this person and it makes sense. There's a little bit of weight to them. You're not spending time trying to get to know these people. You've already got an established character in the mutant world, and then you can add in other characters later on. So I think it's a killer idea. I want to know what you think because, I'm very curious about this. So we will certainly see if that turns out to be true. It comes from a good source, so we'll see. I mean, the other sources about Harrison Ford being recast as General Thunderbolt Ross and then eventually being turned into a Red Hulk also come from a very credible source. So again, we will see how it all turns out. But of course, today Black Adam has opened up in the theaters. So I haven't got to see it just yet. Hopefully I'll get to see it Sunday. I know I won't get to see it tomorrow. But hopefully Sunday I might get to see that one. So I'm hearing the critics are kind of panning it while the audience score is way up on Rotten Tomatoes. So it seems like maybe the fans are liking it. So that's a good sign. I think The Rock is giving something the fans have been really wanting in a DC movie for a few years. I think he's making some people very happy, and maybe we've got this film maybe kind of reestablishing the DC cinematic universe in more than one way. So this may end up being much more of an important film than we initially thought. So we shall see. It kind of just the way things have gone with the merger with Discovery and Warner Brothers. Kind of a lot of changing of the guard over at the film end of the DC. So maybe just maybe we get some good stuff coming out of the movies here. So because their output has been sketchy at best. So we've had some good and a whole lot of bad. So that's my opinion. There's other people who really enjoyed everything that's come out. So again, I think it could be better. I think the treatment of some of these characters could be better. So we shall see what happens here. But so I'm very excited to check that one out. So again, fingers crossed is going to be a good one here. So I do have to cut it a little bit short because, like I said, busy weekend here with the whole wedding thing. So once again, congratulations to Corey and Tiffany. Looking forward to everything and hope I don't screw up the whole ceremony there this weekend. We'll see. Anyway, so hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Definitely like and share the podcast here. I'm over on YouTube if you're watching me on Facebook, or if you're watching me on YouTube, I'm on Facebook. Either way, check me out. Share with your friends here, especially any geek-oriented stuff. I love people, coming to the table here and us, talking geek stuff. I love doing that. Love how all the interaction with people. So yeah. Everyone's welcome. So, I definitely want to have everybody hang out and go talk about geek stuff here. Anyway, of course, I am part of the back of the Cereal Box network. So check out my other Cereal Boxers, back of the Cereal Box podcast proper, Cosplay Cafe, Comic Books The New Class, Ice Cream Queens, Cryptid Crunch. So, all kinds of cool shows on there. So, you all have yourselves a wonderful weekend. And I'm going to leave you with word from our sponsors, Comic Books for Kids. I will see you next time in the Fanatic Forum. Bye-bye.
Comic Books for Kids provides comic books to kids in hospitals and cancer centers across the U.S. It's a place where we can all work together to make sure every child has a comic book. 100% of all proceeds go towards the kids. It's about making a difference, and while they're in the hospital, allowing them to fly like a superhero, battle dragons, or rescue teddy bears. We are in every state in the country and now support over 160 hospitals. Every month, we add more.
Visit cb4k.org.